Hello, thank you so much. Good morning, my name is Jen Kretser. I'm the Director of Climate Initiatives from the Wild Center, a science center in northern New York State in the United States. I am honored to be the invited guest here today in beautiful New Taipei City. Thank you to the Environmental Protection Department of New Taipei City government, the National Taiwan Normal University, especially Xinjiang, and Penn Media for inviting me here today. I've been honored over the last 3 days to visit New Taipei City government and around your city, beautiful city, and I am inspired by the innovation of the New Taipei City government that you are truly a leader in climate action in the world.
大家好，大家早。那我是 Jen， 我是美国荒野中心气候行动主任。那我非常荣幸来参与，就是新北市环保局举办这一次的青年气候论坛。那我这几天走访了台湾蛮多个地方，就新北市的五股夏绿地资源回收分选厂。那我觉得新北市在这方面做得真的非常的好。那非常谢谢新北市环保局，谢谢台师大永续所的叶教授邀请我来参与这场活动。
The Wild Center is located in the Adirondack Park, a 3.2 million hectare park located in northern New York State in the United States.
那我们的荒野中心呢，它坐落在美国的阿迪朗达克自然国家公园。那它占地面积大概是220万公顷。那它在美国北美的纽约州是一个非常漂亮的地方。
The Wild Center is a science museum, and we work to connect people to nature.
那我们美国的荒野中心呢，它是一所自然的博物馆，它希望可以让各地的民众都来大自然参与这个好的活动。
Our goal is to enhance the dialogue about climate change from hopeless to hopeful through building agency and civic engagement on climate change. Informed by social science and touched by human stories, our center offers examples from people thinking about new ways to mitigate our own everyday impact and encourage change in society at large.
那我们主要的目标跟我们的雄心呢，是希望透过改变对话的方式，让更多的机构还有更多的青年可以来参与这个气候行动。那我们透过结合人文跟自然知识，还有教育计划等等方面，来链接这整个气候行动。
The Wild Center focuses on igniting a connection to nature where people and nature can thrive together and offer an example through the world. We do this through educational programming, our exhibits and outreach, as well as being a demonstration site for green design, sustainability, and education.
那我们希望透过我们自然中心，不论是在绿建筑或是相关的教育计划方面呢，都能树立一个典范，让各界都可以来参与。
So what do we need to know about climate change? We know that it's real, it's happening. It's caused by, climate change is caused through the burning of fossil fuels. It's urgent. We need to act now. And we have the solutions at hand so we can all make a difference. Each one of you already has the skills and capabilities to act on climate change.
那我们对于气候变迁，我们需要什么样的相关认知呢？首先，我们要知道它已经在发生，它是真实的，而且我们非常的需要参与，因为它已经非常紧急了。那大部分气候变迁会这么严重的原因，是因为人类大量的使用化石燃料。我们都有能力，而且我们都已经具备了这样技能，剩下的只是参与了。
We know that it's real and that it's us. We know that 97 out of 100 climate experts know that humans are causing global temperatures to rise.
那我们都知道气候变迁是真实的。那97位专家在100位专家里面都相信气候变迁它正在发生。
In this slide, you can see the colors move from dark blue to red. Each band of color represents 1 year of climate data. This is how the temperatures in Taiwan have changed over the last 200 years. This is happening around the world, and it's urgent that we act now.
那我们可以在这张投影片看到，这每一条的颜色都代表着1年的气候资料。那从深蓝到红色，代表着气温从冷到我们现在非常的热。我们可以看到我们的右手边已经都是红色的状况了。那这是过去200年台湾的资料。
So what are some of the climate change impacts in Taiwan? We know already there's extreme weather, such as larger typhoons, extreme droughts, and more rain. You have experienced sea level rise. There's a negative impact on rice production and fruit harvests, and other public health impacts, such as heat-related illness and dengue fever caused by mosquitoes.
那气候变迁为台湾带来的影响有哪一些呢？很显然的，越来越强大的台风，还有极端的干燥以及暴雨，甚至是海平面的上升。那对于我们人类更直接的影响是粮食的产量，还有一些对于健康上面的影响，像近期很热门的登革热。
So we also know that we must limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade, which requires rapid, far-reaching, and unprecedented changes in all aspects of society. We know that the IPCC reports that have been shown that we need to rapidly close the window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. And we need quick and radical shift away from fossil fuels to a low-carbon economy. And we are already seeing those impacts, and the people that have contributed the least are experiencing the worst. The UN Secretary has demanded that developed nations fully decarbonize by 2040, a decade earlier than many other nations.
那根据 IPCC 的报道指出啊，我们要将气温升温幅度限制在1.5度C 以内。这个时间我们所剩不多了。那它对于世界有哪些影响呢？首先，我们可以看到非常显著的影响是那些排放的非常少的人群或者是团体，可是他们受的影响是最深的。那联合国秘书长也指出，我们必须要在2040年之前达成脱碳。
But we have hope. Around the world, young people just like you are leading action in their schools and communities.
那在世界各地呢，有很多的青年已经采取了气候行动，将这些行动带到他们的学校和社区内。
I'd like to share with you 2 examples from New York State of how youth are leading on climate action.
那我会给你们展示2个例子，看看纽约州还有纽约市的学生他们是如何采取气候行动的。
First of all, in New York City, which is the largest city in the United States, young people have been working with the mayor's office, the New York City Department of Education, NGOs, and many other organizations and agencies to effect change. Following a strong push from youth, city agencies, and NGOs, climate education was explicitly included in the New York City's updated strategic plan released a few months ago, called Plan NYC, a stronger, more resilient New York City. This has led to New York City's first ever commitments to climate change education and green workforce development.
那其中一个我想和你们分享的例子呢，是在纽约市。纽约市呢是美国最大的城市，那学生在这里跟市长办公室一起合作，那他们推动了什么呢？在他们的努力之下，气候变迁教育被纳入纽约市未来的发展策略里面。那这是第一个，也是引领整个美国可能将气候变迁教育和绿色人才发展落实在政策中的一个举措。
So how do youth work with local government? Well, first, we set up meetings and listening sessions, opportunities for young people to share with officials what climate change concerns them, what about climate change concerns them, and what ideas they have to work on climate change. In New York City, youth met for many, many months with nonprofits and elected officials to share those experiences, to learn about their learning in the classroom. The students worked with officials to draft new policy and legislation, which was then included in New York City's new climate plan, Plan NYC. And for the first time ever, climate change education was included in the new strategic plan for New York City, which includes teacher professional development and workforce development.
好的，那青年如何跟当地的政府合作呢？ 他们举办了公听会。那这个公听会提供了一个机会，让青年和政府之间有一个对话的平台。那在纽约市呢，学生他会跟很多来自于 NGO、来自于政府的单位合作，去分享他们对于气候变迁的看法，还有他们的解决策略。那在这些 NGO 的帮助下呢，他们也会选出他们觉得不错的政府官员，那去跟他们分享。那再来呢，他们起草了和市政府一起起草了一个 plan， 叫 Plan NYC。他们将气候变迁教育实实在在的写入纽约市未来的发展策略中。那这是第一个，也是第一次。
So this is an example of youth hosting a listening session with the New York State Department of Education.
那这是一个由青年发起的，和纽约市教育机构的一场公听会。
So youth are not just working on policy, but they're also taking action. For example, planting seagrass to help stabilize sand dunes, the students from the National Wildlife Federation, another organization working in New York City, go out to the beaches near their communities to work on dune grass restoration.
那为了要进一步落实这些策略呢，那学生他们会跟当地的组织一起合作。那在照片中我们可以看到，学生学习复育海草，那去提高纽约市它海岸线的韧性。
Students learn about sea level rise that is impacting the beaches and communities where they live, and they learn about that planting of the seagrass to help control flooding from sea level rise and prevent erosion, which helps during the large storm surges, which have increased over the years due to climate change.
那学生呢，他们透过这个行动的过程，去学习海平面上升的相关知识，还有海平面上升对于他们所在地家乡海岸线的影响。那也透过种植海草去固沙，提升他们当地城市的韧性，尤其是针对于海岸线的侵蚀。这几年飓风还有强烈的暴风雨非常的严重的情况下，这些都有助于提升他们当地的韧性。
So this is not just happening in large cities, where young people are working with their local government, but also in small rural communities across New York State and across the United States. Here's a student from my community of Saranac Lake who helped the local village government work on climate action plan through the New York State Climate Smart Community Program. She helped to create a climate action plan for her town to build climate resilience.
那当然，气候变迁的影响不会只在大城市发生，它会在各个乡镇、你我所在的社区里面造成影响。那照片里面的这位学生呢，他参与了这整个计划。那他来自于 Jen 的家乡，那他提供了他的气候行动计划来帮助他所在的社区。
For my second example, I'd like to talk about organizing a youth climate summit. This is one of the best ways to get involved in climate change action and to bring young people together to talk about climate change science, justice, impacts, and solutions.
那我最想要跟你们分享的一个部分呢，是我所举办的气候行动高峰会。气候行动高峰会呢，是组织学生最快的方式，让青年可以透过我们的活动来参与气候行动。
So what is a Youth Climate Summit? A Youth Climate Summit is a 1 to 3 day conference-style event that brings together young people, primarily high school or college students, to learn about climate science, regional impacts, climate justice, and climate solutions. Students attend many workshops and programs on renewable energy, such as wind, solar, geothermal, and new technologies, biodiversity, climate policy, climate education, art, adaptation, and climate mitigation. At the summit, young people network with other young people, organizations, and government to learn about climate careers and green jobs. And finally, they create a climate action plan, which is a framework for taking action in your school or community.
那什么是青年气候高峰会呢？那这是一个1到3天的会议活动，将青年朋友们聚集起来。那在这个活动的过程中，他们会学到什么呢？他们会学到关于气候变迁相关的知识，还有它对于区域造成的影响、气候正义和气候行动方案等等。那他们也会参与很多的工作坊和计划，去学习像是关于可再生能源啊，然后还有 生物多样性、气候政策、那气候变迁教育，甚至是艺术跟气候变迁的结合，还有气候变迁调适与减缓的策略等等。他们也可以在这个过程中呢，去找到他们志同道合的伙伴，还有跟当地的政府啊、跟 NGO 组织一起去聊一聊未来他们职涯的发展。那最重要的是，他们会在这个活动的过程中构建他们自己的气候行动方案。那这是一个他们行动方案的计划蓝图，也是提供他们未来行动的一个准则。
So let's watch a short video from the Adirondack Youth Climate Summit at the Wild Center.
那我们一起来欣赏一段介绍我们美国荒野中心气候行动高峰会的影片。
Climate change is happening now. It's not our grandchildren's problem, it's our problem.
Here in the Adirondacks, we bring together about 200 students for 2 days to learn about climate change science, impacts, and solutions through the creation of climate action plans.
You know, with summits all over the world, we've had like 60 summits now, like globally, and that is insane.
Like start an environmental club at your school or go to your town and ask for a climate action plan.
In addition to that, our green team has spoken at about a half dozen different climate summits around the state, sharing our experience with the projects that we've done and how we can create a climate action plan for others to follow as well.
So the biggest thing I've probably done is a workshop teaching youth how to speak up to authority and talk about climate justice.
And I think like the term, you know, like a climate summit is just going to become like a household thing.
Can't just dump it on a different generation because the time to act is now.
The Wild Center works around the world to start and support youth climate summits. They've been held in museums, schools, community centers, in partnership with many different organizations, agencies, and local governments. To date, we have supported and partnered for 160 youth climate summits in 9 countries and 25 US states.
那青年气候高峰会举办至今呢，已经在很多的博物馆、很多的学校、很多的社区举办过相关的活动。那目前我们已经举办超过了160场活动，横跨了世界9大个国家，还有美国25个州郡。
What brings all these youth climate summits together are our summit values. These values emerged from many years of hosting youth climate summits, as well as best practices in climate communication. All the work that we do and all the choices that we make are grounded in these 6 things. First, place-based, we focus on local impacts of climate change. Youth-driven, every summit works with young people to plan and implement the summit. Action-oriented, we take what we learn and we create action in our schools and communities, and we focus on those climate solutions. We also focus on being equitable. We want to make sure we hear from different perspectives and different voices. And finally, we want to be hopeful. We want to stay hopeful and optimistic. We know we have hard work in front of us, but together that we can make a difference.
那我们所有呢气候行动、青年气候行动，我们的奠基都在于这6个大的基础价值观下面。那是哪6个呢？第一个，它是在地的，我们希望它是在地化的，这样子才可以探讨更多气候变迁对于当地的影响。那另外一个是我们希望它是由青年主导的，让青年被赋能，他们可以去做更多的事情。更重要的是，我们是以行动为导向的。我们希望可以在社区跟学校推广这些活动。那再来呢，我们也希望它可以确实的提供解决的方案。最重要的是，我们结合了很多个面向，我们希望倾听不同的声音，这样子我们的气候行动计划才可以更健全。那最重要的是，我们希望为大家带来希望感，让大家知道我们都可以做些什么，我们还能做些什么。
So the strong place-based science content knowledge provides a foundation for discussion and local action. It's really important to understand what climate impacts are happening where you live and connect to those impacts.
那我们的博物馆呢，提供了一个强大的知识基础。透过这个强大的知识基础，我们才可以构建一个比较好的气候行动方案。
The summit has many different types of hands-on experiential workshops for youth on climate change topics and solutions.
那我们提供了非常多元化的工作坊，让大家可以来参与这些活动，了解气候变迁相关的议题。
It's also really important at every summit to create many opportunities to learn from and network with other youth, schools, NGOs, and government to learn about how they are implementing climate actions and solutions.
那这个气候高峰会很重要的一点是，它提供了很多机会，让参与的青年可以学习气候变迁相关的知识，可以构建他们自己的行动方案。更重要的是，他们可以有一个跟政府、跟 NGO 对话的平台。
One of the most important aspects of a Youth Climate Summit is creating a climate action plan and project to implement in your school or in your community. This collective process of climate action planning empowers young people to identify those local challenges and create solutions through a framework of self-defined action.
那我们最重要的一个部分是构建青年他们自己的气候行动计划。那我们可以在这张投影片上面看到，他们可以透过这张表格去想一下他们当地遇到的问题，他们可以透过采取什么样的方式去解决他们当地的问题。
Green teams develop important goals and objectives that aim to increase their school's sustainability performance by reducing carbon footprint of their school through initiatives that increase energy and water efficiency, recycling, and reuse efforts, overall improving the health and well-being of both people and the planet.
那他们会组建一个 Green Team， 就是绿色的团队。那这个绿色的团队很重要的一点是，他们构建了这个计划，他们会把它带回到他们的学校和他们的社区里面，去帮助他们的学校和社区降低他们学校和社区的温室气体排放量，提升他们用水和能源的效率。那也可以提升他们资源回收的比率呢，还有再使用他们当地的资源，那进而去改善他们当地的生活情况，还有他们的健康环境。
So I'd like to share some examples of projects that schools have created at a Youth Climate Summit and then taken back to their schools and communities.
那这是一个其中我们很成功的案例。学生回到学校之后呢，他们建构了他们自己的农园，他们自己的菜园。那这些菜园，他们是主要提供给当地一些比较贫穷、需要帮助的人，他们主要的伙食。
In this first project, students built a garden and a greenhouse to grow fresh and local produce. They then harvested that food and provided it to food pantries to help support people that didn't have enough food. This project really was great because it solved multiple problems, both helping young people to learn about gardening and local food, but also helping people in need in their community.
那这一个行动呢，它非常非常成功的地方是，它是一个多元的解决方案。透过学生在学校种植这些蔬菜，他们解决了当地可能贫穷的人、需要帮助的人他们主要的伙食来源。更重要的是，学生可以学习到如何去种植，而不仅仅只是在课堂上面的知识。
In this next example, students installed a water bottle refilling station to encourage other students, other classmates, to bring reusable bottles to school and reduce plastic pollution from water bottles.
那另外一个案例呢，是学生在他们学校自行建构了一个让你可以自动装水的一个地方，这样子可以降低学生他们去购买像塑胶保特瓶的罐装水，那他们也可以鼓励他们自己的朋友，甚至是同学，携带他们自己的瓶子，进而降低塑胶的使用量。
An example of a community event, students worked with a community arts organization to do to take trash and make it into clothes, into fashion, And they held a huge event, and they raised money for their projects, over $3,000.
那另外一个更有趣的案例呢，是这里的学生呢，他们用垃圾去做出了非常多的时装。那这些时装呢，透过募款，他们募到了非常多的钱，可以帮助当地的社区。
So here's some more examples of student-driven climate action projects. They can be anything you can dream up, from school projects such as reducing doing a carbon and energy audit of your school, to organizing a green dance or sustainability week, to creating a school garden, or a community project such as creating big events, building a nature trail or outdoor classroom, organizing a beach or park cleanup event, or volunteering with local farms and supporting organic food.
那还有一些案例呢，在学校的话，我们可以怎么做呢？我们可以降低学校的能源使用，提升学校的能源使用效率。那我们也可以组织像一些活动，像 Green Dance 绿色舞会。那我们甚至还可以在学校建筑我们自己的校内的花园、菜园，来种植一些绿色蔬果。那如果在社区呢，在社区的话，我们可以组织社区的民众他们去净滩，那也可以组织一些义工队来帮助这些需要帮助的人。
As you can see, young people everywhere are working together to take action on climate change. You can make a difference by getting engaged in your school or community to create the change we need for a brighter future. I see a great opportunity here in Taiwan to lead the first ever Taiwan Youth Climate Summit.
那我们可以看到的是，世界各地的青年朋友，大家都在行动了。那我在台湾这几天呢，我看到新北市具有非常大的潜能。那我也很期待可以在台湾创造第一个青年气候高峰会。
The Wild Center offers many free resources, such as a Youth Climate Summit toolkit, climate action planning guide, monthly news flashes, and our news network. We place tremendous value on connecting with other people, organizations, and places to support the work you want to do in your community and in your schools.
那我们这个荒野中心呢，还有气候高峰会呢，我们提供了非常多的资源，我们可以在网络上、在电视媒体、在各个很大的平台上面都可以看到我们的资源。那我们提供了很多不同面向的一些方案，大家都可以来参与。
We would be happy to work with all of you and with the new Taipei City Government, EPD, to help to organize a youth climate summit here in Taiwan and work with you to make climate action real.
那我真的非常高兴呢，可以来参与这个活动。那我们这里呢，也有提供一个简要的工具箱。那我也很希望未来呢，我们可以跟新北市环保局一起组建第一个新北市的青年气候高峰会。
You can find us on social media or connect with us directly. Please follow us. I'd be happy to connect with any of you to do work together for a just and sustainable future. Thank you so much. 谢谢。